the screen, and I'm looking forward to seeing you, Be'ezrat Hashem, very soon back in Shul. Before I get to the star of the evening, Aluf Yaakov Amidror, I want to say a few thank yous and a few words. So first of all, thank you very much, Zevi, for organizing this evening. Zevi Mendelson has been working tirelessly during normal days, but also now when things are not normal to get things going. And this is one of his initiatives, and it's so nice that you managed to pull this together. Thank you very much, Zivi. Very much appreciative. And all those that are helping him. I know there's a committee that helps him, but you do pull the committee. So kol hakavod, and thank you very much. While I'm in the mood of thank yous, there is another very big thank you. Tamar Kushitsky, who has been heading our education youth committee, is also doing so much with the youth during these days. Just that you know, because I don't know if everyone knows of all the activity that is happening. We have teenagers going to homes of young families with the children at home, some of which the father might be in Miluim, and some of which not so, but still the parents are alone with the children all day, and then they're trying to work over Zoom, and it's not easy. So we have the teenagers going and helping the children with activities at home and other activities. And on that note, also thank you, Mamash Larav Ro'i and Teila, who have been doing all the time and during these days as well on Zoom and otherwise wonderful activity with our youth. It's mamash mechamem et halev. There are so many more thank yous to say, but I'll just at this moment I'll just say thank you to our Gabaim under the leadership of David Levine, who are also during these days who have been working very hard, and with David Goodman, head of religious committee, to get all the tefillot, as you will see soon with a bulletin that will come out, to make sure that everything is done kashura and that everyone and that shul operates as best as it could during these days. And Kamvan, thank you to Perry Shapiro, who runs everything, the VAD so beautifully and smoothly and so tirelessly. Amash, kol hakavod. It's very important that all of you know that there are so many good people that are working so hard to make things work in shul and with all the various activities. So thank you very much to everyone. And I know that I didn't mention everyone that is supposed to be mentioned. There are others that are doing very hard work at the moment than usual, but I can't say everyone, so I said a few now, and on another opportunity, I'll thank the rest. During these days, it's very interesting. Today I had the opportunity of watching a YouTube of Rabbanit Tehila's brother, Ellinson, Netanel Ellinson, who's a wonderful, very original thinker. I strongly advise people to look him up. And he had a shiur on the matzav, and he drew parallels between our days and what we're going through right now and Megillat Esther, which are staggering, mamash staggering. And the interesting thing is that the night before, Rav Rimon gave a talk to the Mizrahi rabbis. I didn't have an opportunity to be on the talk, but I was able to see the recording later, where he drew the same parallels exactly. And I don't think they colluded. I think each one of them reached it separately. It's staggering, wonderful. I recommend that you look online on YouTube, Netanel Ellinson. Very, very interesting. No doubt, we've seen great miracles during during this past week. It's not an easy week because we all have our worries, and it is not good to have only gava and only good feelings because fear is real. Things can be, as we are told, Ali Talel Choger Kimfateach, and but at the same time, we can be very happy with what is going on, and with the general direction of things, and with all these miracles that we see around us. So, and I'm sure that soon we'll hear more about the miracle. We'll hear the skira of Aluf Yaakov Amidror. But before that, I want to say that more than all of the miracles, the one thing that even thinking of it, I hope I won't get to tears now, because even when I thought about it, it brought me to tears. The greatest miracle of all is the great achdut amongst us since the beginning of the operation on Iran. And yes, we always get together when things are bad, but the opposition got behind the government and the operation in such a way that even took me by surprise. No buts, no ifs, no however, just as Gantz put it so beautifully, there is no right or left. There is only right and wrong, and we are all on the right side right now. And I thought that a brilliant way of putting it. And there were no buts and no ifs in that interview and not in other interviews, which is so meragesh. And I know that this is not going to hold for too long. After all, we go back to our things. But I think this is more of tshuva. I think this shows us sometimes that even we don't realize that deep down, we feel and we sense each other and we understand that at the end of the day, we are one people. And it's so reassuring to see that also. This is one of the great miracles, and there are great miracles of this war, but this is one of them. And maybe one of the most important ones. And if we're talking about parallels between Megillat Esther and our time, then Haman, when he plots against the Jewish people, he is able to plot because he thinks Yeshno Am Echad Mefuzar Umeforad Bein Ha'amim. And Esther's answer to that is her command to Mordechai, Lech Knos et kol haYehudim. Lech Knos. And when all the Yehudim come together, that is the moment when the miracle of the Megillah takes place. V'nafochu asher yishletu haYehudim. So I want to now thank Yaakov Amidror, and from the bottom of my heart, I just want to tell you, Yaakov Amidror is so busy giving interviews and talks these days. When I asked him, I didn't even realize he had a talk before, and he's going to have it right after this talk. And without hesitation, when I wrote him a message, almost immediately he wrote me an answer. Of course, we are neighbors, and if you ask, then I'm here. And it's a busy evening. I didn't realize how busy you are, Yaakov, this night, but he immediately said yes. So I thank you very, very much. Toda rabba. And without further ado, Yaakov Amidror, bevakasha.
שלום, ערב טוב. התלבטנו אם לעשות את זה בעברית או באנגלית, והחלטנו לעשות את זה כמו ב-Five Towns. I'm speaking English, but from time to time adding some words in Hebrew. I didn't have any question when you asked me to speak, because neighbors, I have to have good relations with my neighborhood. Live alone, I finished now to brief a group in Greece, and tomorrow I have a briefing in India. I will not meet these people in my life, probably. Those in Greece maybe, but those in India probably I will not meet. But I meet every day around the corner, so I have to be very careful. I want to speak about the war, and I want to begin with something from the past. The Iranians had a strategy, and we faced in the 7th of October the results of this strategy. The strategy had two legs. One is the nuclear one. Iran will build nuclear military capability. That will be the umbrella under which they will do whatever they want to build the empire and so on and so forth. The other leg was the ring of fire. To build around Israel, ring which would be under the control of the Iranians, some more directly and some less directly. It includes Hezbollah, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, militias in Syria, Syria itself, militias in Iraq, the Houthis in Yemen. And the idea was that one day the Iranians will bring all of them together to coordinate attack when Tehran is far away, not connected to the war, and Israel will crumble under the pressure of the ring of fire without interference of the Iranians, and without the Iranians have to pay the price for the war which originated and by them and was coordinated by the Iranians. They had huge success in building this ring of fire. Hezbollah was very strong, don't underestimate it. Hamas was stronger than we thought. In all the places in which we understood the threat, we had the preparations which are needed, mainly Iran and Hezbollah. In the place in which we underestimate the threat, we didn't make what was necessary, and what we had is the 7th of October. The mistake of Sinwar was that he thought that because he is part of the axis of resistance, they will join him. He will begin and they will join him. That was his biggest strategic mistake. We had a very clear strategy from the beginning. We don't want to fight in two fronts. We are concentrating all our efforts, all our capabilities in one front. We are defending ourselves on all the other areas. And the most important decision of this war was taken in the 10th of October 23, when the Prime Minister and the Cabinet decided not to attack very tempting target in Lebanon, and to concentrate in Gaza, בבחינת תפסת מרובה לא תפסת. After making the first step during the almost 9 months, with all the hesitations and the problems with the American president and the administration, which didn't like what we are doing in Gaza, to enter to Rafah, not to enter to Rafah, to bring humanitarian help, not to bring humanitarian help, all that took us many days to overcome, and we succeeded to come to the situation in which Hezbollah is not anymore a threat to Israel. It is a threat inside the Gaza Strip, but no one asked the question, what will be the reaction of Hamas for the elimination of Muhammad Deif? Is not relevant. And this is the situation, that was the situation in Gaza, when the government had to make a decision of use it or lose it during the days in which it was clear that that Hezbollah might expose the Beepers operation, which was prepared many months before the beginning of the war, years before the beginning of the war, but came to the peak during the war, by the way. And that was another very tempting point. And the decision was, okay, because we can take forces from Gaza into Lebanon, because after the first stage we can rely on the achievements in Gaza, and Hamas lost its ability to attack Israel, we can ease our efforts in Gaza and to go to a full war in Lebanon. Because before that, we didn't have in a full war in Lebanon, it was an exchange of fire around the border, 10 kilometers to the north, 10 kilometers to the south. We, unlike the Hezbollah, we prepared the next stage of the war in Lebanon during the defensive stage. Special forces were very busy inside Lebanon to prepare the ground for the ground attack of the IDF. And of course, the BPR project and others, which make the beginning of the ground forces operation much easier. And after entering to Lebanon, succeeding to bring all the special forces of Hezbollah to retreat to the north and distracting the whole area of the special forces which had been prepared by Hezbollah for launching the attack into Israel. Hezbollah, after losing all its leadership, and it's practically all the leadership, from the time that I was the intelligence officer of the Northern Command, only 2 people remain alive after the beginning of the war. All the others had been eliminated. All the people that I knew from my time are not there anymore. And of course, Nasrallah himself, Nasrallah was the axis of the axis. It was the most important part of the axis of resistance. After the elimination of Soleimani, he was the symbol of the axis. And the fact that we had the ability to eliminate him and all the military leadership and part of the civilian leadership of Hezbollah was very significant, with additional success of the IDF, the combination between the intelligence that we had and the Air Force, to destroy probably 70% of their launching capabilities. So instead of having to face Hezbollah with huge number of missiles, we had to face Hezbollah much, much weaker, and we had the advantage of preparing the ground in South Lebanon. And the agreement at the end was very good because it gave us the freedom to act whenever we identify any change on the ground in Lebanon and for sure in South Lebanon, and we are doing it. It's very aggressive policy. We are reacting to every piece of intelligence, which, according to the agreement, gives us the ability to kill members of Hezbollah in South Lebanon. They don't supposed to be there. And any attempt of Hezbollah to open or to renew or to build something new north of South Lebanon, and we are doing it as you read in the newspapers. After the success in both, the disappearance of the Syrian regime was very, very significant. Thanks to the fact that Assad became very weak without Hezbollah behind him. And when it was well understood after the exchange of the fire between us and the Iranians in April and in October that Iran is not as strong as they pretend to be, Erdogan understood it, and he pushed the rebels into the south. And it was easier than they expected, and instead of taking Haleb, they took Damascus. And that was the end. Why it is so important? Because what the Iranians built was described by King Abdullah of Jordan as the Shiite crescent, going from Tehran to Baghdad, Damascus, Mediterranean, Beirut. That was disappeared. With taking the important part of the connection, meaning that the Iranians cannot use anymore Syria as a bridge, it became a buffer. And today Hezbollah is isolated inside Lebanon. They don't have any allies in Lebanon. They don't have the ability to get help from Syria, which is now against Hezbollah. They cannot have the ability to get help from Iran, which is far away and cannot reach Lebanon, but by landing in the international airport. And there you can bring money, but you cannot bring weapon systems in your suitcase. So it's a totally different situation. Hamas is not relevant anymore as a threat. Hezbollah is about survival, not about attacking Israel. Syria is not part of the bridge, so there is no bridge. And now, unlike what the Iranians had in mind, it's Iran vis-a-vis Israel. No proxies, no ring of fire. It is them and us. Then that, and more than that, we have a free corridor because immediately after the collapse of the Syrian regime, we bombed all the hardware of the old army of Assad. And there is no any ability to use any part of the anti-air systems that they had and so on and so forth. All of that exterminated totally. And in practically, there is an open corridor going from the border of Israel through Syria and Iraq to Iran without any early warning, no radar systems, no anti-air systems. It's a free corridor for our Air Force. So the strategic situation was totally different after the war. The geography is totally different because of the war. It's a direct connection between Israel. The bridge which was built by the Iranians are now going to the other way. The Air Force is using the same, if you want, crescent to go from Israel to Tehran. And Iran without the proxies is a different threat to Israel, because when I was around the tables, we asked ourselves all the time, okay, we attack Iran. What to do with Hezbollah? What to do with Hamas? Now it's not a question. They are not relevant. So that was understood by the Iranians. And the Iranians decided two very important decisions that when it was exposed by the intelligence, by the Israeli intelligence, led to the decision, now it's the last opportunity. The first decision of the Iranian was to accelerate the nuclear project. And the one word about the project. The project had three elements. One is enriching uranium, to have the material for the bomb. Without it, critical material, you cannot do it. Now they have enriched uranium for 60%. They need to enrich it to 90%. It's a question of weeks for between 5 and 9 bombs. The second stage is weaponization. You have to take the uranium, to transmit it to from gas to metal and so on, blah, 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 and to make a weapon, to make something that can work and make the job. There are two systems how to do it, two methods, how to do it. It doesn't matter, I don't want to go into details. They decided to escalate the weaponization team work inside Iran. And the second decision was to build huge infrastructure to produce missiles that can reach Israel and to reach the number of 10,000 within very few years. Today they have few thousands. When that and they understood that they have to change the strategy, and they made the efforts to begin to think how to build a new strategy without those proxies that lost their capabilities. It was understood here that if they succeed in their weaponization efforts and they have the infrastructure to produce the number of missiles that they had in mind, for Israel, it will be too late. We don't have the ability to cope with it. We cannot cope with 10,000 missiles. We cannot cope with nuclear Iran. And the decision was, it was clear that it is now or never, because otherwise it will be too late. And at the same time, we saw that the new administration in Washington, which is much more easier to deal with when it is coming to those questions. It's not that Biden was anti-Semite, but his administration was not so pro-Israel, and they put some restrictions on the weapon that they were ready to sell to Israel. And it was clear for us that if Harris will be elected, it will be even more problematic because of the forces around her and the people which she picked to be her administration. So neutralizing the proxies, having a clear corridor to Tehran, understanding that the Iranians are going now to a stage that if will be finished as they plan, will be impossible to deal with. A good, better administration in Washington, and the feeling that the war is towards the end, and we can use what we have now to apply to our needs in Iran. And in the last, year, 6 months before the war, the plan was shaped different from the plan that I knew because of the changes in the circumstances around us, and success of the Mossad to build very important capabilities inside Iran, and better intelligence about some of the targets that we want. What we had in mind when we went to the war in Iran, that we want to achieve 2 goals. One, to eliminate as much as possible, and we knew that there will be some areas in which we cannot do it totally, to eliminate the ability of the Iranians to continue with their nuclear project, and to destroy, again, as much as possible, and here we have more possibilities, as possible, the infrastructure of production of long-range ballistic missiles. To achieve these 2 goals, we had to achieve other goals, which are kind of prerequisite for the goals of the war. One is to destroy the anti-air system of Iran, because this is the prerequisite for having the ability of the Air Force to act in Iran. And the second one was to reduce the ability of the Iranians to launch missiles into Israel. It cannot be done totally. We knew it. It's a race between the 2 sides, but it was understood from the beginning that it is very important, because other side, our cities in Israel will suffer a lot. The home front should be much more secure, and the only way to achieve it, you need 2 elements. Three. One is the active defense, the Arrow, and American unit of THAAD, which integrated into our system, and probably 25-30% of the interception is done by American forces. The passive defense, we are running to the shelters, and the ability of the Air Force to reduce the capabilities of the Iranians to launch the missiles. And that's what we are doing every day, every night, over Iran. With a great success, probably we destroy between 30-40% of their capabilities. But remember, these are not the goals. The goals are to reduce the ability of the Iranians to produce nuclear bomb, and to reduce their capabilities to produce the missiles. And that's what we are doing every day and every night. The Air Force is going to Iran, destroying the targets which are in the list, connected to both the missiles and the nuclear. We know that Fordo is something that we don't know to do with our Air Force by ourselves. and if the Americans will come in, this is the only place in which we need American intervention other than the defensive system. I don't know if the Americans will join or not. And I don't know what are the calculations of the president. All the preparations of the Americans had been done. We have here in the Middle East, we will have in a few days, 3 carriers. It is a third of what the Americans have. Practically they have 11, but operational are only 10. The new one, Ford version is bigger and more modernized than the 2 previous one for Nimitz, and I don't remember the other one. And the Americans making all the preparation. They have B2 in Dego Gracia. It's 4,000 kilometers from Iran, very close. They have fuel and refuel airplanes, many of them in Europe. So they are preparing everything. Then the decision should be taken by the president, of course, the commander-in-chief, and he didn't make the decision yet, as he said. So he didn't make the decision yet. He gave the approval to their plans, but he didn't give the order go. Why? And so it's American calculation. I don't pretend that I understand it. I don't think that we should advise the Americans what to do. It's their decision. American don't tell anyone. It's a sovereign state. Not all the Israelis understand it, and they do what they think is good for America. And I hope that the decision will be a good one. If they don't come in, we have to find a way with our Air Force to do at least part of the job. And I'm sure that many people are sitting now scratching their head and try to find the right plan to do it, or they have a plan and now they are training themselves. I don't know. For how long? I don't have an answer. I don't know. It very much depends what the Iranians decide. If the Iranians decide that because of the pressure that we are putting, because we eliminated the whole leadership of the military apparatus, because the leader lost people that with whom he was ready, he worked for, I don't know, 10, 15 years. And if they see the damage that you are doing to their infrastructure, military infrastructure, but some of it is both, they might come to the conclusion that bad agreement from their point of view is better than no agreement, because we are continuing to destroy. And if the Americans will come in, it will become even worse. There are some rumors that they are ready to negotiate. I'm not sure that the Americans are ready to negotiate in their terms. They want better terms for the agreement. An agreement is a good end for the war from our point of view, if it eliminates the ability of the Iranians to build nuclear missile capability, restriction the missiles that they can produce. It will be 1,000 kilometers and not more. I'll tell you an episode when the Iranians went first time to North Korea to buy long-range missiles they didn't have. The North Korean told them, we have on the shelf, you can take. These are the missiles that you have. And the question of the Iranians was, okay, what is the range? And proudly, the North Koreans said, 1,000 kilometers. Said 1,000 kilometers is not enough. We need at least 1,300. We heard the number and we ran to the maps to see what was the difference. The difference is in 1,000 kilometers, you cannot reach Israel from the border of Iran. From 1,300, you can. The border, from border to border, it's 1,200 kilometers. So we understood from the dialogue between the Iranians and the North Koreans what they had in mind. Why the 300 kilometers was so important for them. Anyhow, if that would be the agreement, and the agreement will have some arrangement like in Lebanon, in which it will be agreed that if we found them violating the agreement, we can act. That will be a good solution for our challenge with Iran. So this is about the end. If not, I don't know, we will continue to destroy them, and at the end, they will have to decide what they do. It's not, no, we can continue. The more we will destroy the launchers, the more that we can continue with the war. The second question is, what about regime change? Look, for regime change, you need two parts. You need to have the regime much weaker, that someone can push it. And this regime is very strong and very cruel and ready to take very radical steps to keep the control. And let's assume that we can do some actions to reduce its capabilities and to kill people that which are part of the system that will weakening the regime at the end of the process. But we cannot produce opposition, which is the second part which is needed for regime change. And there is no opposition, organized opposition in Iran. Many people are running in the streets and sending TikTok messages that are very happy that the Israelis are doing what they are doing. But there is no any organized opposition. There is no leader. There is no leadership. And so we cannot make a regime change. We can make one part of it to make the regime much weaker. We cannot produce the alternative. That should be done by the Iranian people. So about regime change, it's a problematic. We cannot put it as a goal because we cannot guarantee that will happen. They can continue for another 100 years, I don't know. Probably not, but cannot be excluded. So this is the situation on the ground. We are continuing in Gaza. You see, we have every few days someone lost his life in Gaza because we are pushing Hamas on and on. And we want to control 75% of the whole Gaza Strip, and to put Hamas in a corner in which they will have to make decision about the kidnapped Israelis, which is the only asset that they have. They don't have any asset. The only card that they have in the plate are the hostages, and this is why they are keeping them and don't want to release anyone. There are negotiations. Let's see what will happen. We are putting many forces in the West Bank because we don't want that the West Bank will be ignited. It didn't happen in the 7th of October. That was the biggest frustration probably of Sinwar, the fact that the West Bank and Hezbollah didn't enter to the war. For us, it will be devastating if the West Bank will be ignited because of the Palestinians or because of mistake that we will do. So we have huge forces in the West Bank, try to, like a blanket, to oppress any attempt by someone to change the situation. And we are very aggressive in Lebanon. Whenever we find something which is not exactly like the agreement, we are active. We are still puzzling about the character of the new regime in Syria. Let's see what will happen. If this is not a long cheating game, it's a huge change. Huge change. Let's see. I don't know. And we continue when we speak, we continue in Iran. And if you have a question, we have 7 minutes because all of us will have to go to Mincha. Don't believe that there are 139 Jews without a question.
Whoever has a question, it will have to be on you. So maybe you can mute our goal, and Matan has a string.
I don't hear the question.
הרב, לא שמעו אותך טוב.
תשאל את השאלה במקומו.
לי אין שאלות.
לא, במקומו, את השאלה שלו.
אני לא הבנתי את השאלה גם.
גם אתה לא הבנת.
כן. מי שרוצה לשאול שאלה, בבקשה לכתוב בצ'אט למטה.
אפשר באנגלית.
אי אפשר לפתוח את המיקרופונים, אחרת יהיה בלגן.
אפשר באנגלית.
When did Israel discover
this is a very interesting question. We understood before the war that the Iranians are going ahead with their plan to destroy Israel. And within the intelligence, there were kind of exchange of ideas about it. It was more about Iran and Hezbollah and much less about Hamas. And that probably led to the mistake in the 7th of October. As I said, we identified the main threat in Lebanon, in Hezbollah, and Iran, and this is all the preparations that we did, and this is why we have good capabilities relating to both. It was not identified by us that Sinwar is one of the main threats. By the way, in retrospective, it was not. Because after he had huge success at the first 12, 18 hours. But after that, he couldn't put any in any way to stop the IDF or to put obstacles in front of the IDF. After they used the success of the surprise, when we rehabilitate our capability within 18 hours, you can argue how many hours, it was the end of Hamas. So philosophically, we can say that we were right about identifying where is the main threat. But we didn't understand that this guy is ready to take risks, which don't have any connection to reality, and he paid the price. We paid the price for our mistake, that we didn't understand him, and he paid the price because he didn't understand the balance of power. Yes, what is the next question? I didn't see.
In terms of American interests, how do you think China viewed this operation and the IDF capabilities?
I think that the Americans surprised by the achievement, or if not by the achievement, by the ability to make it in a very short time. Look, America is a superpower. They don't know where they have to fight tomorrow. They have to be ready to fight from Kamchatka to Somalia. They don't understand that the IDF is a totally different situation. We know exactly where we will fight. And if we don't understand it, we pay the price at 7th of October. When we know and we identify, we have the preparations that we did against Hezbollah and against Iran. And I think that surprised the Americans, the ability to produce inter-service operation between the CIA and the Air Force, and to work together in a schedule which is very tight, but they achieve huge achievement within 48 hours. Unlike what the Americans thought that it will be, the whole Middle East will be ignited, that the Iranians will be crazy, that it will take days to overcome the anti-air systems of the Iranians. But at the end of the day, they know what we can, because the last time that I checked, I'm saying it all the time, the last time that I checked, all the aeroplanes which went from Israel to Iran and back were American made. So they know what we have basically. We have some surprises that was produced by Rafael and by others and other companies in Israel, but Elbit and Tassia Avirit. But at the end of the day, they know what we have. How we use it and implement it, I think that was the surprise.
שאלה אחרונה.
I see the question about China. Look, everyone is asking about China and Russia. Up till now, we don't see any kind of steps that might be judged that both sides, the both of want to intervene in the conflict. They understand that if they bring something to Iran, it will be destroyed immediately by us. The Chinese helped the Iranians they brought him materials which are necessary for building the long-range missiles, but it is materials. It's not the military system themselves, chemicals and so on. We don't see interfere. They don't see them interfering. I think that for them, it's kind of a shock. Shock showing them what the Western technology capabilities are. For the Chinese who will have to fight America if they go on Taiwan, that might be a shock. I don't know yet. We don't see any signs that they know how to keep it within their own system, but I'm sure that in the future we will see some signals about it. The way that it was done against a sovereign state, but at the same time, he says something to the Chinese, guys, the Israelis can act against a sovereign state. Why cannot we? So it's a mixed kind of, and I'm sure that Putin is saying, everyone is against me when I did the same thing to Ukraine, and everyone is praising Israel when the Israelis did it. So I don't know what will be the result of all these lessons. For them, it's an issue, no question, but they don't interfere. Up till now, they didn't interfere.
שאלה אחרונה by David Jackson. Thank you for your terrific talk. Why are Iranian missiles getting through our defenses when the quantity of missiles they are firing doesn't seem so large?
Look, it's technological system. No technological system, even the project to reach the moon. There are failures, and the failures up till now are within the statistics that was known before the war. They launched around 400, it was true for yesterday, 400 missiles during the war, and around 20 reached targets in Israel. There is huge damage in each place. Only 2 people died within the Mamad. All the others without the Mamad. So the damage for the buildings is huge, but the damage for people which are going to the Mamad is minimal. And it is within the statistic that we knew before the war. Nothing new. They are saying that now they are launching new kind of missiles. Let's see if that will be a difference in the statistic. I'm not sure about it. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with my neighbors. If you have very important question, you can apply. I will answer if you see me in the street.
Rav Hanan?
Detail over
הרב, אתה בלתי נשמע, האנשים מנומסים, הם לא אומרים לך. אתה בלתי נשמע, אתה נשמע קטוע, אף מילה שאתה אומר לא שומעים.
תשפר את מיקומך. לא, ממש לא. לא עובד.
טוב, אז שיהיה לכם ערב טוב.
תודה רבה.
אני רוצה להספיק למנחה ברשותכם. תודה רבה.
מר עמידרור, תודה רבה.
תודה רבה לכם. תודה רבה.
תודה. וערב נעים ובלי הפסקות.
אמן.